week I found a book serving special needs students in the school library media center. I'm using chapter 4 or 5, sorry, and I think I have my wrong. I think this is 6371. So I apologize now for my lack of correct number at the bottom, but we'll just move through. This one shouldn't be just really long. Then I do have another diversity piece that I'm going to have you guys access and read, and it talks about soft censorship, which I think is very interesting. It's something that even I tend to do. So when you get into that, just know that sometimes it's hard not to be human. So anyway, and then I also have a couple of resources, ideas for programs. Two of them are on special needs students, and I hope you'll find them very, very interesting. So I'll just kind of move in. The selection of materials for special needs students, according to Lula Pride and Lois Schultz, the school library media specialist has the responsibility for providing materials that meet the intellectual, emotional, and physical needs of students with differing abilities, as well as their teachers, and ensuring full physical and intellectual access to the library and its collections for all students and teachers. Even if you only have 3 self-contained special ed students that need, a kindergarten or first grade reading level, they still need materials just like any of your other students. So I used to keep all of my picture books, my lower level, just in the regular collection, but I did find that we've got a large group now. It's changed over the years. Some years I would have 3 or 4 self-contained students that would come once a week with their teacher. Now it's up to 15 to 20 because they've grouped 6th through 9th grade in our building, and they end up using our library more, which I actually love, but we have pulled more of their books over, and I just put any of our students can check them out. And I find that a lot of my 6th and 7th graders will kind of thumb through. A lot of them will be picture books that they recognize, and they'll say, "Oh, I remember reading this as a kid. I'm going to check this out for my little brother or little sister." So we don't limit any of those resources, but it does make it easier for our special needs students to access and find things that they really like. Now, of course, I do have one special needs young lady. She loves Justin Bieber, and so I had picked up a biography on Justin Bieber. Oh, and she likes, I don't know if it's One Direction, so I picked that up. And when Clara came, that she cried when she saw that there were books that she was really interested in. So there is nothing that says that my special needs students can't access, the regular shelves. They're all in the same area. It was just easier to pull the picture books and the really lower level reading into one spot, so they could kind of focus a little bit more. So the second point, the school librarian is in a key position in the school to advocate for students with disabilities by promoting disability awareness and sensitivity. Library materials for faculty. We need to provide a professional collection for our faculty, and our students should include information on disability etiquette and appropriate language. So those are things that we do need to provide, and I do have those in my nonfiction area as well. Okay, collection development. Your collection development policy should include a focus on providing material for professionals. Those are your teachers and aides. That professional collection, your criteria for materials that foster sensitivity and awareness and for different diverse issues, and criteria for items that will be used by special needs students. Your material formats. All formats need to be considered to be used, for all students, but a lot of times the special education department will have specific funding set aside for other formats besides just print materials. So make sure that you contact the maybe the special ed teachers in your building, or whoever is over all of the SPED department, and find out what materials or resources they can offer that will kind of supplement what your school library is. There does need to be assistive equipment, which includes amplifiers, FM systems, caption video if they need it, descriptive video, magnifiers, and large text, and text to speech. Things that we have offered, I do find large print books. Thorndike Press does they've got a really good selection, but also we have access to books on CD, and then also playaways, which are things that we offer here in the school library specifically. You also need to have resources for parents. Somewhere there should be a parent center that has materials for them to check out, and that's something, even though I'm not the parent involvement person, all of the books that were purchased for the parent center, I went ahead and added to our collection, put barcodes on, and so when the parents come, they just bring the materials down and we scan them so we know where they are. But they do need to be supportive information material, and lists of local and state organizations. Those are some things that you can offer as resources to your parents. In your professional collection, you do need to include titles that will help your regular classroom teachers and the special education teachers. So, for examples, to our books, Negotiating the Special Education Maze, a guide for parents and teachers. It's a really good resource. I highly recommend it. The second one down is a 3-volume set, the Encyclopedia of Special Education, and then there are 2 periodicals, Exceptional Children, which is a bi-monthly periodical resource from the Council for Exceptional Children, and then there is also Exceptional Parent, which is through Exceptional Parent Press. So those are things you might want to check into to help build your collection. Now, criteria for your material selection. Do follow your general criteria. Look for all types of formats. Look for quality. That's in any resource that you're going to purchase, whether it's a fiction book, a nonfiction book. Always look for quality. It is a good idea to find manipulatives when possible, if you have the funding, to increase fine motor skills, social skills, self-expression. They do need to be safe, easy to clean, and durable, just, for, I guess, hygiene. Audiovisual, look for things that are quality, clear images and sound, that are accurate, appropriate, and, the cost isn't too exorbitant, that you spend your entire budget just on those audiovisual materials. And then books and magazines. Look for those high interest, low vocabulary resources. There's a whole series that I can't think. The Orca, ORCA, Orca Press are really good for a lot of the SPED students. Not ones that can read but on a lower level, but they're looking for higher, for like a teenage interest instead of like a small picture book. You need to look for clear illustrations, an oversized format sometimes if you can find it. That large print, Thorndike Press, again, is the one that I use most often for the large print. If you can find signed stories on signing, audiobooks are wonderful. I highly recommend playaways. I get mine from Follett, Follett, I think, Tidal Wave, but you can get them from other companies. Look for all topics, fiction and nonfiction. So some suggested key phrases to look for in your descriptions. Straightforward, simple text. That's going to mean that, it's not complicated. Accessible style, numerous photos, double page spread, and few lines of text. Illustrations that convey the story well. Pictures provide many visual clues for readers who aren't ready for long chapters. That was all on page 87 in chapter 5 of the book I was referencing. When you select materials to increase the acceptance of students with disabilities, you do need to look for nonfiction about disabilities. Make sure it's current, accurate information at an accessible reading level for your students. I have 6th and 7th graders, so I'm not going to find a psychology text, that's going to explain things in too much detail. The writing style should be clear, unsentimental, and use accepted disability terms. Make sure that you find and keep your stuff up to date. When you look for fiction about disabilities, you want characters with disabilities that are portrayed just as real people with full personalities, that's a plausible setting and has plausible characters. Three of my absolute favorites that we have here in our school: Rules by Cynthia Lord. If you've not seen that one, it's wonderful. It's about a girl. Her brother has, I think, Asperger's or he's autistic, and she has all these rules for him, but then she meets a young man who is um, a paraplegic in a wheelchair, and it's a great story. Wonder by R.J. Palacio. Most of you guys have probably read that one. And then the third one is called Out of My Mind by Sharon Draper. Those are three of my absolute favorite fiction books, and a lot of my students check those out. They love them. If you're looking for something with a student with ADHD, the Joey Pigza books are really great for middle school, junior high kids. They're good as well. And I can't think of who the author is. You do want to look for tradition. You can find traditional selection sources in Booklist, and you can usually find that online. You can use the elementary school library collection through Brodart, and then School Library Journal always has very good picks for students with disabilities or special needs. When you look for specialized selection sources, if you're looking for visual, you can go through the National Library Service. Your local public library should provide access for information on this service. So when you go in or if you call, you need to ask about the National Library Service for visually impaired students. Hearing, there are two, Gallaudet University Press has really good stuff, and then the National Association for the Deaf. And when I put in this link, this one had to do with diversity, but I realize now that the link is not even in the right spot. One thing that I do want you guys to realize, even through UCA, and this is totally off topic about the special needs, but it has diversity and community. There are a ton of different resources that UCA does offer to our diverse learners on all different types of diversity concepts, I guess you could think about. So if you've not gone onto our website and looked, you might want to access that link and look for some ideas too for your programming for those either a underserved population or culturally diverse population. Which brings me to the second piece that is in this folder besides this link to this video. This first link is called Missing from the Shelf: Book Challenges and Lack of Diversity in Children's Literature. It's about 35 pages. It's a report. It's wonderful. Access it, read through it. Has great information. Then there are two links to two different special needs programming ideas. The first one is a disability awareness lunch program that was done at a junior high school in Hot Springs. Stoney Evans, ridiculously wonderful librarian. If you don't know him, you need to meet him. And then there's a second link as well for ideas for programming. Good luck this week.